Good evening, everybody. We're glad that you could join us here. We're at the University of Findlay's psychology program, and we're going to discuss the different things that you can do with a psychology degree. And today I have joining us is Dr. Andrea Mata, and she's going to tell you a little bit about the program.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Andrea Mata. I have a clinical psychology PhD from Kent State University. So some great things about our psych program here at the University of Findlay is that we typically just have a general program. And so we have core courses that all of our psych majors are required to take. And they range from neuropsychology to research methods to fundamentals of counseling to abnormal psychology, lifespan. So you get a wide breadth of psychology knowledge here at the University of Findlay. And then depending on what your career goals are, you can tailor your experience to what you want it to be by joining one of our 4 research labs here that we have at the University of Findlay. And so some of our, and they differ in breadth and kind of research interests. And it just kind of depends on what students are really interested in. So I'm going to pass it on over to the 2 student psych majors that I have here. I have Shelby Stump and I have Alex Long, and these 2 are going to kind of give you a little bit more information about what it is like to be a UF psych major.
I'm Shelby Stump. I'm a senior psych major here at the University of Findlay. I have minors in interpersonal communications and child development. And like she said, I'm actually one of her research. I'm in Dr. Mata's research lab right now, conducting my own research as well as assisting with hers.
And I'm Alex Long. I'm a senior here at the UF. I want to go more into sports psychology. The real big interest for me is how sports connects with psychology, mental, physical kind of things. And unfortunately, I'm not a part of Dr. Mata's great research lab, but I have her in several classes, and the UF staff here is really, really amazing. It's a great school.
I paid him to say that.
Dr. Mata, what can students expect from the psychology program?
What can they expect from us? They can just expect a very broad knowledge base in a variety of areas. And so, like I mentioned earlier, we cover a plethora of different topics. Psychology is made up of, around 54 different sub-disciplines. We try to hit on as many of those as we possibly can. Obviously, you're not going to be required to take 54 classes, but you are going to be required to take probably somewhere around 20 or so, maybe a little less than that. And again, we can tailor it. We're going to do what's known as a curriculum change this upcoming fall, where we're going to change what kind of classes our psychology majors are required to take, just so that we can tailor it a little bit more to the interests of that individual student.
Alex, what are some of the things that you enjoy about the psychology program?
The one thing that I really enjoy, transferring from a big university, I love how small the classes are. We have 16, 18, maybe 20 people in a class, and you have a lot of good one-on-one time with the professors. I've only known Dr. Mata for a semester and a half, and she's already one of the closest professors I've had in 4 years going to college. It's just a great learning environment, and it really helps you grow as a psychology major. You actually learn in the class. So that's something that I really like.
What about you, Shelby?
I would definitely have to say that almost the exact same thing. I came from a very small high school, so transitioning into Findlay was a perfect fit for me. So I graduated with 30 students in a high school, so I'm used to having 10 people in a class, and so that's basically what it is once you get into the actual program. So it's a lot of personal one-on-one time. You really get to know the people in your program as well as the professors. So there's never that lack of communication. You always have a contact person if you have questions. And then you also have members of your own class you can get hold of, have study groups and things like that. So just the small, tight-knit kind of community that you have, not only at the university but also in the program, is a huge plus.
Dr. Mata, what types of positions can psychology majors get after graduation?
That is the million-dollar question. Psychology has received a pretty bad rep, in my opinion, over the years, and usually a lot of incoming prospective students come, and their parents included. They ask me this question: well, what can my daughter, what can my son do with a psychology major, because you can't get a job with just a bachelor's in psychology. And this is actually pretty false. It just kind of depends on what you want to do. Obviously, you can't do therapy with just a bachelor's in psychology, but there are jobs that you can do. So for like Shelby, she's wanting to become a play therapist, so that's only going to require her to get a master's degree. Alex is trying to get into a applied sport psych program, and chances are he will also be going for a master's. But then you can also go for a PsyD, or you can go for a PhD. Now those are the graduate school options. Now if you just wanted to come in and have a psychology major but then get a job immediately after your 4 years here at the University of Findlay, you have tons of options. Essentially, lots of employers are looking for the skills that you gain as a psychology major here at the University of Findlay. So if we look at our graduating class of 16 majors last year, 10 of those 16 got into graduate programs, either master's programs or PhD programs or PsyD programs. So that's a pretty good graduation grad school acceptance rates. But then if we look at the other 6, the majority of them have full-time jobs at this moment. One is working up in Perrysburg. She's working as a project manager for a pretty big and upcoming corporation where they hired her simply because she had the psychology major and she had the research experience. One of our other recent graduates, she's currently working in the city of Findlay, and she's essentially helping other people find jobs to match the employers with specific people. So again, that's a full-time job. And then a really big part, right, or job that's happening right now is what's known as a behavioral analyst. And so that's when individuals really want to work with individuals with autism or individuals that have intellectual disabilities, and they will go into homes of those individuals in order to change the home life to better suit that person's individual needs. So that's another type of job that you could possibly get with simply getting a bachelor's in psychology.
That brings up a good point, Andrea. I know also employers are looking for experience before graduation. So what kind of opportunities for hands-on experience do we have here?
All of our psychology majors are required to complete 90 hours of internship, and I think I can hand it over to Shelby because I think she's completed what we call Q hours, Community Urban Experience, and so all of our psych majors are actually required to complete 90 hours.
So for my Q hours, I worked at a local attorney's office. I got some hands-on professional experience, not only working with those in the professional field, but also working with the clients and the families and the different people that come into the office. So it's not necessarily the counseling field that I would like to go into, but it gave me a grasp on how to work with people and how to work with individuals in that type of professional environment.
And then I can say something else going off of that. Alex hasn't done his Q hours yet, but something actually just came up this weekend that I actually haven't told Alex yet, so maybe I'm going to surprise him a little bit that he might get involved in. I was just contacted this weekend by a high school football coach that he's having a lot of his players experiencing a mental block, and he's wanting to know whether or not we can do a sports psych camp with his football players over the summer. And so ideally he would let one of our students kind of run the clinic. So then myself and then Coach Makepeace, which is our swimming and diving coach here at the University of Findlay, we would probably supervise Alex if Alex was interested in this internship. We would supervise Alex in carrying out this clinic. There you go. Surprise!
So that also segues into the next topic of internship opportunities. So we offer those as well to our students.
Absolutely. We have tons of interns. So those Q hours are our internship sites. We have students that if they're interested in working with more like a forensic psychologist, they will want, or a probation officer. We have a local probation officer that a lot of our psych majors are kind of shadowing with that person first semester at a time.
What about, I have some questions about campus life. A lot of people wonder about clubs, organizations, athletics. What are you involved with, Alex?
I'm involved with the football team here, just transferred in. I love it. It's a great team. My teammates are a lot of my classes. It's a very small community, so we see each other every day. It's more of a family-oriented place. If you want to go to a really big school where professors may not know you or things like that, maybe that's what you want to do. But if you want to come to UF, you're going to be a part of a family. It's really tight oriented. So.
What about you, Shelby?
Well, I'm also in athletics as well. I'm on the track and field team, so we just got back from Boston last night after traveling to the snow. But I'm also in Psych Chi, where I'm the president of the International Honor Society of Psychology, the president of Psyche Club, which is our psychology interest group, which is open to all majors, not necessarily psychology. I'm in Aristos Eclectos, which is an honor society for student leaders. And I'm in SAC, which is for student athletes. We get to the advisory committee and we get together and we put on events and talk about topics related to student athletes.
Dr. Mata, can you tell me about some of the subcategories of psychology? I know we've talked before, and that's something that I wasn't aware of, so I'm sure a lot of people aren't aware that there's so many subcategories.
Well, there's the two broad categories are essentially what's known as experimental and clinical or applied. So if you want to do more of the people kind of stuff, that would be the clinical side. And so if you wanted to become a clinician or a counselor or a forensic psychologist, which those do exist, it's not like the profiling positions that you'll see on Criminal Minds, but it's much more people that want to assess criminals and determine whether or not they were insane at the time that they committed the crime, or whether or not they are competent to stand trial. So those positions do exist, and that's what a forensic psychologist is. You could also have a clinical neuropsychology, so you want to kind of, people are having issues, and so you want to do scans on their brains to kind of figure out what brain abnormalities they're having, those kind of things. You can do the applied sport piece, where if you want to work with athletes, there's individuals that work solely with geriatric populations. So if you enjoy working with elderly populations, and then there's the one that's dear to my heart and Shelby's heart, it's little kids, also teenagers too. So there's all kinds of options if you want to do like the clinical applied kind of stuff. And then the other, or school psychology is a big one, educational psychology, and there's just minute differences between those areas. Now on the opposite end of that spectrum is what's known as the experimental side. And so these are for individuals that are very strong in like the science orientation part of psychology. You're not so hands-on. You're not going to be able to do like the therapy session, meet one-on-one. You would do a kind of like a sensation perception kind of thing where you want to make sense of the physical information that you're taking in. If you want to do, this is, a very popular field, the whole research methods, being a methodologist, students love research methods, let me tell you. So if you want to, be that, then there's developmental, and so there's just a lot of different areas. Another area of psychology that's kind of really growing right now is what's called IO, so if I could get it out, industrial organizational psychology. And so it's kind of combining psychology with the business world, and that is a very up and coming field right now that we actually have some students that are very, very interested if they wanted to be like a consultant kind of position.
And I guess that also leads me to another question. I know you have a lot of students that dual major. What are some of the popular ones or some that marry up really well?
So what we've had in regards to dual majors in the last few years is the physical therapy and psychology majors. Now it is a little bit trickier to complete simply because you have to be here for 4 years, but if you wanted to become, if your sole purpose was to become a physical therapist and you wanted to apply to the PT grad program here, it would be a little bit trickier simply because you start grad work in your 4th year. And so the last 2 students who have actually been able to complete the PT Psych double major, it was, they had decided they chose to stay for 4 years. Other double majors that we typically have, we have a lot of like communications, we'll have criminal justice. Psychology pairs up very, very nicely with lots of majors. We just have to make sure that we're using those credits very wisely. Now the other option is maybe not so much a double major, but you can pick up some minors. So I think Shelby could probably talk a little bit more about the 2 minors that she's actually receiving.
Like I said earlier, I'm getting a minor in interpersonal communication, so just learning how to work kind of in small groups, one-on-one type things, which is going to go really well since I want to work in the counseling field. And then Dr. Mona and I decided we made our own minor a couple semesters ago, and it's child development. So since I want to work with kids and their families, I thought it would be a good idea to learn more about that kind of specific area. And so I've taken classes in social work, education, and psych that all go together, that you all learn about different aspects of the development of children. So both of those work very well for what I would like to do in the future.
I have a question to the students. Why did you guys choose Findlay? Of all the places you could have gone, why Findlay?
I'll go first. Well, I live 30 minutes from here originally, so Findlay has always kind of been in the spectrum of schools I've always looked at because it's not a huge school, and I came from a very small school. It also offered me the program that I wanted to go into because I wasn't for sure, like, oh, do I want to do psych? Do I want to do social work? Do I want to do this? And I'm like, well, we'll try it out. And since it was such a broad category, it let me kind of venture out into what I want to do. So I took classes. I'm like, oh, well, that's exactly what I want to do. So that's why we picked out the minors that kind of go along with that. It was just a perfect fit with it just being a tight-knit kind of community. That's what I've always grown up in. So it was just an easy choice for me.
Well, my situation is a little different. I came from a really big city, hometown. I'm originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and I moved to Detroit, Michigan. I've always been around really big universities, really big cities, and a lot of people. And I first went to Eastern Michigan University straight out of high school. I had about 28,000 students there, about 300, 400 people in each class. And I also played football there, but it was really, really jam-packed, and it was hard to understand the material when I was going to class. The reason I chose Findlay, even my fourth year going to school, was it was so tight-knit. The faculty love each other, the students love each other. Like, I keep bringing up the family part because it's really important that you don't look at how many students go to a school. You want to look at the quality of the school. And there may only be 4,000 people here, but the quality of this university, I think, tops many universities over the United States. So that's why I chose Findlay.
Well, we're glad to have you. Now, my next question is, what do you guys enjoy to do on campus?
You can answer that one first.
Well, I'm kind of a homebody. I usually stay in my room, but when I do go out, I do love coming to the AMU, talking to a lot of the different foreign students. There's tons of people from all over the U.S., all over the world, really. I mean, there are a lot of different people to talk to and really get different perspectives about. Sometimes I go to the FRC, play a little basketball with the guys, may go there, play pool. Also, sometimes I'll go into the basketball stadium just to kind of watch other teams practice sometimes, just to kind of get a whole different aspect of like exactly what the university has to offer. I think I have a lot of fun.
I kind of say that it's not the same thing. I'm kind of a homebody, but especially with us being on athletic teams, that's a lot of our time is devoted to that. So I guess if I'm not at the track running or in the FRC working out or whatever, yeah, the AMU is a big place, one, because I like coffee, so I have to go over there and get that. But they have fireplaces set up and things like that, and there's always some kind of activity going on. So, I mean, including the organizations that I'm in, like the activities that we do, there's always something going on, at least 3 or 4 nights a week on campus. So you can't ever be bored. There's always something to do.
Yeah, very true.
Well, we'll be wrapping it up here shortly, but I just want to encourage everyone that go to our website, check. We have visit days, open house, and preview days, and definitely come and visit us. And as Alex is showing you, make sure that you send us a tweet, and we've got the information there. So send us your questions. It doesn't matter if the hangout's over; we'll still get to your questions and get them answered. So also, it's very important. Make sure that you fill out your FAFSA forms. And if you're interested in the University of Findlay, our code is 003045. So make sure you give us some love and come and visit us. And now, as I usually do, is I close by asking everybody the most important question of all. What do you love about being an Oiler? Dr. Mata?
I give the same answer every single time Christy asks me this question, and it's quite often. It's the relationships. I mean, I think these two have already told you. I love my students. Like, I absolutely love them. I will go to bat for each and every single one of them. There's usually somewhere between 3 or 4 students in my research lab on a daily basis, and usually you hear them joking and just hanging out, having fun, also being productive at the same time. That's what I like. So it's just the relationships that you're able to build. I could have gone to a bigger school and been a professor there, but I wouldn't have enjoyed it nearly as much because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to build the relationships that I do with my students. I know all of my students' names, and I, walk across campus and I say hi to them. I went to Chipotle for dinner tonight. I saw 4 of my students just kind of hanging out there. One of them was working. And it's just kind of like, hey, how are you doing today? And checking in with them, building those relationships.
Okay,
First.
I'd also have to kind of go along with that. It's really nice going to a small school. The friends I had my freshman year are still my friends now, 4 years later. We're involved in the same activities, same organizations. So it's really nice to have a group of friends that you can go through the journey of school with. It's going to be hard graduating this May and then having to move on somewhere else for grad school. But I'm very, very lucky to have 4 years here at Finley where I got to have those relationships that will last a very long time.
And that's going to be 3 talking about relationships. So it's a different atmosphere here. Like I said, being at different places and having experienced different things and different people. The people here are very genuinely amazing people. They have hearts and love for everything that they do. And the one thing that drives other students is passion. And if you see your fellow students and your professors have passion, it makes you want to have passion about what you believe in. So that was really big for me.
Well, thanks. Those were great answers. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And as I said, if you have any questions, please feel free to get with us. And especially if you have any questions about FAFSA or financial aid, our financial aid department would be glad to help you with that. So just give us a call or sign up for a visit. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye.